Assalamualaikum everyone. Today we have Eddie Fakhri with us.
Alaikum salam.
He is very famous in the Muslim community, especially in Melbourne. I came to know about Eddie from his TikTok videos. He also is you run a real estate agency.
So I own a real estate agency in a northeastern suburbs. That's where I'm from. It's actually taken me a little while to get to Haroon tonight.
Yes.
Just over an hour in an hour's no traffic actually. So I run a real estate firm during the day, and that always takes precedence to my reviewing and supporting other small businesses because my clients come first. But then any spare minute I have, it's to promote others and coming to see you to try and support your podcast.
Beautiful. So Eddie.
So fire away, brother. I'm here with you. Whatever questions you've got for one whole hour is yours. Go ahead.
So Eddie, I want to know about your childhood. Where were you born, here or overseas?
So I was born in Australia, but the Fakhri surname where I'm from, in Shari, in north of Lebanon.
Okay.
My great-great-grandfather was one of the first Lebanese to come and settle in Australia. It was in the gold rush period.
Okay.
So Fakhri, the surname Fakhri is generational here in Australia.
Yep.
Both my parents were born in Lebanon though, even though the family was coming and going. Yep. They were both born in Lebanon. And they made their way here as early immigrants.
Yes.
But I was born and bred in Australia.
Very good. And also, when you were growing up, were you kind of like based in Melbourne?
Always Melbourne.
Always Melbourne?
Always Melbourne.
So did you move anywhere else at all? You just based in Melbourne?
I was always based in Melbourne, and in Melbourne itself is very diverse. So depending on what suburb you're in. So initially I was in a suburb called Preston. Not sure.
Yes.
So in the early days, that was more of an Anglo-Saxon area. There was a lot of housing commissions. It was a poorer area.
Sure.
As early immigrants, you just got to settle where you can settle.
Sure.
And then we made our way when we could in, I think it was 1985. We made our way up to the Templestowe area. Okay. Which is, again, it's a northeastern area, quite a nice area.
Yes. And growing up, how was your experience in Melbourne growing up?
So initially, I was one of 4 siblings, but at the stage when I was growing up, there was 3 of us. I was the youngest of the brothers. Okay. My sister's 10-year gap between me and her. Okay. And it was this cricket in summer and football in winter. And we never played for any clubs. Our parents used to work. Early immigrants, they would work and come home. So we would play, you'd go to school during the day, at night, you'd be playing in the streets. Yeah. And it was a beautiful childhood. Yeah. Really enjoyable.
Did you end up getting into sports or supporting any clubs and stuff like that?
No, so as we're talking about, say, 30 odd years ago, 40 years ago, whatever it was. Yes. Back then, like I was saying, parents worked really hard. Yeah. They didn't have time to take us to after school activity. Yeah. All the Australian kids tend to play cricket and football, and I used to look at that and envy, thinking we just had to learn off the streets. Yeah. And so our football and our cricket was developed to a pretty good standard, but we weren't professionally taught. Yes. And we just played with each other and on the weekends, socially, but we were never part of any clubs. Early immigrants couldn't do that. Yeah. You speak to any early immigrant, unless their parents were white collar, it was very difficult for their parents to be able to take them anywhere. Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say that Usman Khwaja, he's a very famous cricketer. He migrated a few decades ago, but what happened was his dad especially took him. I think they were based in Brisbane. His dad was passionate about cricket. He made a point of taking him.
Completely different, brother. Yeah. Because if it's built into your blood, like with Pakistan and cricket, like the Indians and the cricket, it's built in. Yeah. In Lebanon, they're really, because I'm Lebanese background, there isn't any of that. Yeah. So it wasn't like someone from Italy, for example, early immigrant, might have had their kids in a soccer club. And they would have been like the Abruzzo club or, whatever it is.
Some local club.
Yeah, local club. Whereas for the Lebanese, we didn't really have there was never a national pride when it came to sport.
Gotcha.
And so for us, it was just coming here and just working really hard and wanting their kids to have an education.
Sure.
So and then I was the first Fakhri in our whole community that went actually to university. Yeah. And that was a big thing for my parents. Because at that stage, no one had gone to university.
Yeah. Okay, so what did you do in the university?
So I went to Melbourne University. Okay. I studied to be a psychologist. So I got into sports psychology, and I was going to progress with that, but I didn't. Okay. So I finished the honours and just didn't pursue. I look, everything you do in life adds up to who you are now. Yeah. So I learned a lot in terms of psychology and how to use that with my current role in real estate.
Nice, very good. So you're coming up. Your time spent in the university, Any interesting stories from your uni days?
Look, university for me again was enjoying the time with the people that were there.
Yeah.
After hours, I hated traffic. Until today, I hate traffic. That's why I was in two minds coming all the way here with the traffic.
Yeah.
So what I would do, there was a library called at Melbourne University, Baillieu Library.
Okay.
And so after all my classes, and I had a car by then, I would actually just stay in the library and finish all my curriculum and everything that I needed to do for a couple of hours so I could leave without traffic.
Oh, okay.
I like to valet drive, so there's no one around.
Yes.
So instead of everyone's running out at say 4 or 5 o'clock, I would probably stay until 7.
Yes.
And then to get to Templestowe was an Eastern Freeway back then, it still is, and it'd be just an easy run home.
Okay.
So, but Melbourne Uni was fond memories of it, but there's really nothing other than the academic part that I can talk to you about.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I didn't do any sport. I didn't do any of that.
Focus on.
It was just because again coming from a immigrant family, you were taught okay, school, do your best for it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a part of any dorm. Or there wasn't any elaborate stories I can tell you. It was just basic curriculum.
Curriculum story. So, how did you ended up in real estate?
So, as I was saying, I'd never liked traffic.
Yeah.
And one of the jobs I had was that initially was mercantile, where I was collecting money for insolvent, for banks, for people who went insolvent.
Okay.
And so I started off doing that, and I was very good at that. And then I had, that's the Adan.
Yes.
We can, guys, we may pray, but I'm up to date with my prayers. Are you up to date with all the prayers today?
I am up to date up till Maghrib.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, really, really good. So we can pray Isha later on if we need it. It doesn't have to be on time.
Yes.
For me, what were we referring to though? What was the question though?
We were talking about your career and how did you ended up.
Yeah, so I was a mercantile agent collecting for the banks.
Yes.
And then from that, General Motors, they liked what I was doing. They called me over to do General Motors. Okay. And when you're young, you sort of flip and flop. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily for the money. It was more for different experiences and where you could emerge yourself. And so I was helping them reclaim cars, debt collection really, for vehicles. But that was based in Commercial Road in St Kilda. Right. I was based in Templestowe. Right. I would leave home, back then, I'm talking maybe 30 odd years ago, I would leave home at 7 o'clock to be able to get there, and I would park my car 7:15. But if I left at say 7:30, I wouldn't get there until 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And so I would leave home just on 7 o'clock, and Wally, I'd be parking my car at 7:15 in Hoddle Street, Commercial Road to get there. And I would make a dua. There's a park there on Commercial Road. If people from Melbourne know Hoddle Street and Commercial Road, there's a big park there. It might be Fitzroy Garden. I can't remember what that park is called. Yeah. But I used to actually walk across that, and I'd make a dua every time, inshallah I can get something local, something where I can progress. Yes. Because this was just work. Yeah. I wasn't passionate about it. It was just work to get income. Yeah. And I'd make a dua one way and the other, always, as I'm going there and way back. And because I'd get there early, by the way, even though I didn't like it, but I didn't like the traffic build-up. Yeah. The general manager would come. He'd always see me as the first person in. And because I don't like traffic like when I was at university, I would wait. And I was always the last person out. Yeah. And that was more because of the circumstance than anything else. Yeah. But while you're there, you do your work. Yeah, yeah. You're not going to sit there because time goes so slow. Yeah. So I would do all the extra work, but you didn't get paid. So real estate's one of the few careers that you get paid commission as you develop as your potential allows. Gotcha. Some of these other places, I'll be working really, really hard, and the person next to me is on personal calls all day. And they'll just come up, you'd have to answer the phone and do whatever you have to do and get through a certain amount per day as a team. Yeah. And you would find that other people weren't as hardworking as what you were. Yeah. I didn't mind. I was there and I knew I was going to stay there all day. Yes. And I did that. But they recognized that and they got me to progress pretty quickly. Yeah. But then my wife found an opening in real estate. Okay. And she said to me, Eddie, I think this would suit you. I would have been happy being a bank teller at a local branch in and around Templestowe.
Because it's still proximity issue.
So I would go there and come home, and it wasn't about the money. It was more about hating traffic. Yeah. So my wife said, look, this thing here might have a career for you. So I went and spoke to the man. We chatted over a couple of months, actually. It was hard to get into real estate back then. Yeah. And he said to me, look, I want to give you the opportunity. So I gave notice, even though I had a career where I was, it wasn't the career that I wanted. Yeah. So I just wanted to stay local. And then, alhamdulillah, I found in my first year, just talk about figures, back then I was in late 20s. Yeah. And what I found was I was on collecting all this money for these big companies. I was on $32,000 a year. Okay. So I got into real estate and worked really, really hard. In that first year, we're talking about mid-90s, I made 85,000.
Okay.
So that was almost triple what I was earning.
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone and started calling all my friends and saying, look, you guys are going to get into this real estate thing because, if you're a hard worker, there's lots and lots of money. I didn't want to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let everyone know. Mashallah, no one actually did it. They were just all thought, look, let's just stay where we are.
Yeah.
The second year, I remember making 105,000.
Okay.
And then after that, I just kept doubling and doubling.
Good.
To the point where it became, you wouldn't want to do any other thing. Yeah. And I stayed there for many, many years.
Yeah.
In the first year in real estate, I got what was called National Rookie of the Year. So everyone had started real estate that particular year in all of Australia.
Yes.
I had the best figures.
Yes.
And then it just progressed from there. What ends up happening when you're a beacon, you'll tend to get other people want to poach you. But because this man, his name was Bill Schlink,
right,
because he gave me a chance when no one else did and I had nothing, I was always loyal to that. And the only suggestion I give to anybody is loyalty is massive.
Yes.
And it's almost a forgotten thing now.
100%.
But you've got to be very, very loyal. And then after a while, I became partner with him, then took over the company.
Okay.
And it's our first national office. We still own it. Okay. And it's very prominent. It's been there for 40 years.
Nice. Amazing. Yeah. I was going to say that you mentioned something about loyalty and nobody gave you the chance. And I was based in Sydney for 20 years. I remember people moving jobs just because they get a few dollars extra in another role. I always try to be in a place where the manager and the staff they're the more important to me than a few dollars I can make over there.
That's right. But you've got to be passionate about what you do.
Yes.
So I find even now with the young ones, if they're moving from place to place, it's because they don't like where they are. They're not passionate about it. When you're not passionate about something, you'll try something else. Sure. But if there's something that you like, I personally think that you've got to allow 1 hour a day towards personal development. So what that means is that you've got to spend 1 hour a day. There's a guy called Brian Tracy, for people that want to know, motivational people. And I was reading something that he had. It's called The Psychology of Achievement. And he said you've got to allow an hour a day. There's no magic bullet theory. Yep. You've got to allow an hour a day towards personal development. But that can't be in your employer's time. It has to be in your own time. Yep. 1 hour a day towards personal development. Yep. And I did that. And I did that every night consistently. And after that first year, as I said, I was the National Rookie of the Year.
Yes. And
I had a plaque on the wall that said you're in the top 5% in the real estate industry. Because a lot of real estate agents don't prospect, and that's something else we don't have to chat about today.
Sure.
But personal development.
Yes.
An hour a day towards personal development. So if you see something you love and you're passionate about it, whether you're a cleaner, whether you're a gamer, whether you're a YouTuber, no matter what you do, you've got to spend 1 hour a day towards personal development. Yep. In 1 year, you'll be one of the best locally. You do that for a few years, you'll be one of the best nationally. You do that for several years, you'll be an expert in the field worldwide.
Yes.
That's something that hasn't changed.
Yes.
So if anyone's going to get anything out of this, it's pretty much if you're passionate about what you do, spend an hour a day. Some people, reading is very, very important because if you're a good reader, there are certain words that add up into your brain and makes you a better performer. Yes. Believe it or not.
Yes.
But some people can't read.
But did you? Were you actually reading in the personal development time, or were you
so it's all different things. So you got to, for me, I can't read more than 2 pages before my brain sort of goes off track. And that can happen with some people. Yeah. So there was a lot of things with me, which was training on which I would listen to in between appointments. Okay. So the hour a day doesn't have to be one physical hour.
Gotcha.
It's got to accumulate. Yeah. And there was a lot of downtime with me in between appointments as I'm driving. So as I was driving, I'm not wasting the boss's time. Yeah. This is maybe 10 minutes. Yeah. I'll be listening to something educational. Even till today, I won't drive in the car from point A to point B without having some type of informative series of something happening. Gotcha. I want to use that time to be productive. Yes. I very, very, very rarely listen to radio. Okay. There's always something that I'll be listening to that's going to benefit me moving forward.
Yes. And let's say you're going from point A to point B and music goes on. What would you do? You would just...
So no, my car was, back then you'd have tapes and CDs. Yes. Yeah? So when the tapes were in, as soon as I turn the car on and I switch that button, it's already on. The radio is not going to be on unless you press radio. Yeah, so my radio was just never on. The only time, in fact, I'd go onto the radio is AM if the cricket was on in summer.
If you want to, listen.
And I'd listen to the cricket as I was going, which is a passion. I love listening and watching the cricket. But other than that, the radio was very, very, really, really on.
Okay, hold on. You're passionate about cricket. How did that happen?
Just
watching and
Australia was so dominant for many, many years. Yes. Before that was the West Indies, if you remember, and West Indies and Joel Garner and Clive Lloyd, Guston Logie. There was a lot of these guys, and Jeffrey Dujon was the wicketkeeper. And I was really into the West Indies.
Okay.
And then somehow, you're living here, then nationally, your national pride comes, and slowly I got onto...
And Australia became better as well.
Well, Australia weren't that good then, but I used to love watching the West Indies, even though, I always wanted Australia to win. I used to love watching the West Indies. Their team was just so dominant.
Yes, they were.
Do you remember Joel Garner? Some of these guys were just incredible to watch. And
my favorite, some of the bowlers were Ambrose, Curtly Ambrose.
Yeah, so Ambrose was the generation after. But Ambrose was and Courtney Walsh was at the same time with Ambrose. So they were really, really good as well. But the earlier days, there was, Malcolm Marshall, and there was Joel Garner, that big guy, and all he used to do was serve.
Vivian Richards.
So Viv Richards and Clive Lloyds. And then Clive Lloyds retired, and then Viv Richards became. And then after Viv Richards, it was Richard Richardson who took it over, and it just kept going. So at that time there, I used to love West Indies. I used to barrack for Australia, but I used to love watching the West Indies. They were just incredible to watch.
Yeah.
But then as more and more that Australia became more and more dominant, and then there was a series of about 20 years where we were just amazing. And now we've picked up again.
Yes.
That it was just great to watch.
Yes.
Whereas football, I didn't get the same passion because
AFL,
you know why? Because the AFL, there's no national AFL.
Yeah.
And the teams locally, there's someone that you really like playing for this team, and they'll swap teams.
Yeah.
Where in cricket, that really happens. They can go from state to state, but when they're representing the country, they can't flip unless they're on the two visas. And that's happened a few times, not many, but it's happened a few times. Like Peterson now used to be South African and became English.
Yes.
But it doesn't really happen much. But normally, so you can know that the team's got its team. That person can't go to India, for example.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they just loved cricket.
Yeah.
As long as they didn't have the dual citizenships, because then they could swap. But if they were Australian, they had to play for Australia. Whereas football, you could be... play for Carlton one day, and then Hawthorn, and whoever's going to give you the extra money.
That's true.
So I wasn't really that honed onto that as much as I was for Australia, for watching cricket.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into cricket. Even now, the Ashes.
Yes.
I do food reviews and things.
Yes.
So there'll be people calling me to do a food review for them. And I'll say, look, okay, that's fine, but I'll have to come at 5 o'clock and leave by 7 because I want to be home 7:30.
8 o'clock is
Even beforehand, 7:30 you capture, because I've noticed that the news, because it's footy season, they're not giving much coverage on the news about the Ashes.
Yes, Ashes.
So I wanted to just watch the recap, the half hour, and then watch it until I fell asleep.
Yes. Do you go to any cricket games?
I used to when I was younger. I used to always go to the Ashes or the Boxing Day Test, whoever was playing.
Yeah.
But as I'm getting older and older,
it's
becoming more and more difficult because I'm finding the traffic.
Yeah.
Again, I don't like traffic.
Yeah.
So the build-up of traffic, and at one stage I was going to buy a house as a weekender.
Close by?
In Jollymont.
Jollymont, okay.
Just so that if I wanted to go to the cricket or to the footy and with the young kids, we could go. But could never find one right onto the park.
Yes.
They just never come up.
That's a very good idea, actually.
Yeah, but they never come up. Apartments came up, but I'm not a man. I'm not. I was never an apartment man because they just don't go up in value. I just wanted like a triple-story terrace onto the park. We just crossed the park here at the MCG. But nothing came up, and then I was less and less interested in it.
I was going to say, if you do not like traffic, you would not be happy to go to Sydney at all, because Sydney is totally congested place.
Yeah, I've gone to Sydney a few times. Though one way's in the inner city, that little grid that's one way, I've never been able to do it. So I've never tried to drive in Sydney.
It's to drive or even take the train and do anything in Sydney is very difficult. Very difficult.
So the buses do they have their own lanes like they have here in Melbourne?
They do, but there's bottlenecks everywhere, and there's too many cars on the road, and it's just way too congested to go out and park and do anything.
Well, brother, Melbourne's becoming very close like that now. Like on a Friday afternoon, for example, it becomes very. And I can never understand why Friday afternoon more than anything else.
That's true.
It's congested. I find that there's roadworks everywhere. Doesn't seem like they're ever having a break on that.
Yeah.
But now my office, from my house to my office, it's 4 minutes. That's it. In between my office and my home is my parents' house. Okay. So every morning before I get to my office, I'll go into my parents' home, have a coffee, have breakfast with them, and then go to work.
That's beautiful. That's excellent. That's very nice.
And then all my clients and all the houses that I sell are all local.
Local.
Yeah.
Yes, you should be very, very thankful and happy because of that.
It's exactly that. It goes back to that dua that I made.
Yes.
In that park.
Yes.
And it was a passionate dua. I really meant it. I just wanted to work local and be successful at something locally.
Yeah.
So sometimes you make a dua many years earlier.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that down the track, if you reflect back and think, you know what, I did make a prayer once.
Intention,
And now it's come true.
Yeah.
And so it's upon a lot of people, if they reflect back and think, okay, did I ever make a dua? Did I ever make a prayer about something? You'll realize that you probably did and you've forgotten about it.
Yeah, because we always try to look forward and something I don't have or something I want to have instead of reflecting backwards. That's a very good point. Yeah.
So reflection, I think, is just as important as, you always want to set yourself your goals.
Yeah.
And as Muslims, though, Muslims, I remember I was in a training session and they said, how many people write their goals? And you have only half the people ever write their goals.
Yeah.
Only half the place lifted their hands. And I said, okay, keep your hand up if you do them every this, and don't have it up once a year or once this and once that. And then how many of them do it daily? And it was just me and somebody else.
Yeah.
Or just me, I think. I can't remember because not many of them did it daily. And the guy thought that was interesting. He said, why do you do it daily? I said, hang on, I do it 5 times a day.
Oh, okay.
And he said to me 5 times a day, because he said, that's incredible. Why do you do it? I said, well, we as Muslims, we pray 5 times a day.
Yes.
And in every prayer, we make a dua, which to us is little goals that you want, because a dua is what your intent of what you want from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from your creator. So I would always ask for things. Always, never afraid to ask. I've done my prayer, thank you, but now I'm going to make a dua and I just wanted something, So when you think about that, they are goal setting, because if you say, inshallah, I want to have this, it's a goal set.
It is, yeah.
So if you're doing that 5 times a day, it's so much more powerful than doing it once a day.
Yeah.
And once a day is so much more powerful than doing it once every 6 months.
Yeah.
And doing it once every 6 months is so much more powerful than doing it once a year.
Yeah.
And once a year is still much more powerful than not writing your goals ever.
Yes, you're right. I think this is a good point to kind of like go into as well, is you mentioned that after the prayer, make a point to make dua. I find myself sometimes, prayer has finished, but I'm about to leave or I should leave. Then I remind myself.
Pot of gold, brother.
Yeah.
That's a pot of gold that you're not going to collect.
For some reason, I have to remind myself. It should be second nature. But for some reason, I have to remind myself, hang on, let's make dua. The world's not going to go anywhere.
That's right.
Nothing's going to change.
Yeah, that time that you can give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually a good thing for your soul.
Yeah.
But if you're not asking, okay, so first of all, in a dua, you irham the people who have passed away for you. And that helps them in their grave.
Yeah.
And then there are people you want to, dua for the people who are sick to get better.
Yes.
But then it should be more about yourself as well.
Yes.
I think so. Then you ask for forgiveness in our prayer. Then we ask for Allah to forgive those that have passed away, and then to ashfi those ones that are sick that we know.
Yes.
But then it should be about something about that you want for the future for yourself.
Yes.
And we always want to say, in every dua, we always say, to have the best in this life and the best in the hereafter. You can't forget the hereafter, because ultimately we're only here for a short period of time. So average person lives until they're about 85, 90.
Yes.
And that's a good life.
Yes.
But if you divide 90 by infinity, the answer is 0.
Yeah. Because
it's so insignificant. 90 years compared to everything, it comes up with, you can't have an answer. Your calculator has a button for infinity.
Yes.
So you do 90 divided by infinity, error comes up. It is that small, insignificant that it doesn't come on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just focus on the dunya and not realizing that's just a flash.
Yeah.
If the rest of it is indefinite, that's where we should be focusing.
Yeah. The point you make about reflection, and you look at the life, how short it is. It's when you're growing up, why is it hard for people to reflect and appreciate this point? Usually people do that later in life.
Depends on a few things. It happened to me when I was young, because there was a calamity in my life when I was in my 20s. So I was a real estate agent.
Yep.
Rookie year of the year, top 5%.
Yes.
Lots of money coming in.
Yep.
Alhamdulillah, everything was really, really good.
Yep.
And then I got sick.
Okay.
And so I was in my 20s, mid-20s. I had my older son. Yep. I had him. Okay. He was 1 year old. And I was diagnosed with something called non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay. And it was mantle cell, and it was stage 4B.
What is
any doctor that can hear this now, we think, hang on, mantle cell, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, there's no cure for.
Right.
At 4B means it's all over your body.
Is this a cancer?
It's a cancer.
Oh, okay.
But at that stage, 4B is almost like it's everywhere now. There's nothing we can do.
Spread and everything.
It was everywhere. It was in all the lymph nodes. So once it's in the nodes, it's in the blood.
Right.
So it was all over my body.
Okay.
And it just happened. It was nothing that I done that was incorrect. It just happened. And then they gave me 12 months to live.
Okay.
And so I continued to work.
Yep.
I'll do chemotherapy. It was CHOP chemotherapy. It was once every 3 weeks for 6 months.
Yep.
And I'd be at the oncology day center, and I'd be on the phone. And I remember one nurse said, listen, I think you should stop the work and the doctors were agreeing, and they all thought I was in denial that I was going to die. And I said, listen, no one dies before their time.
Okay.
It's written for me. I'm going to do everything I can to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Korn, what we call, and say, you say to God, with a stroke of pen, you can change it. And Allah can change, even though He's destined this. If and it says it in the Quran, with a stroke of a pen, I can change, even if it's destined for this, I can change it. So it depends on your will, and sometimes it's better for you to pass away. SubhanAllah, it wasn't better for me to pass away for whatever reason, and I'm here still today. So anyway, so in that 12 months, I'm getting my chemotherapy, all the rest of it, and I had Zamzam water. Do you know what Zamzam water is? Yes. And I made a dua with that Zamzam water. But I continued to work for two reasons. One, I just thought if it's destined, it's destined. But I had a 1-year-old, and I wanted him to know that work ethic, because a lot of Muslims sit around and not actually work. I don't know how it is now, but in the early days, there was a lot of them, they were on compensation, or if they could benefit from not working, they would. Not realizing working is a form of worship anyway. So I wanted my son to know, look, my father did everything he did to support us, even when he had a calamity like that. So it would have taught him something, because I wanted to teach him things while I was in the grave, because I could have been not here. Yeah, sure. And but I continued to work, so his mum could say, your dad kept working all the way through, and I had this Zamzam water. Yes. They got it from me from overseas then, and it came in just a normal thing, but it was Zamzam. Yeah. So I had the Zamzam water, and I made a dua. The next day I had to do what was called a bone marrow biopsy, where they screw into your back. Yeah. To test out what it looks like. Yep. Now, I've had them before, but subhanAllah, after that one there, they looked at it. A couple of days later, they called me and said, listen, we need to do an emergency third one, because it seems as though there's a difference. Yep. They did a third one, and when it's still tender, for them to drill right next to it, it's so bad. But they wanted to do it. And they did it, and they came back and said, listen, we think we misdiagnosed it. It's not non-Hodgkin's. It's non-Hodgkin's, but it's not mantle cell. It's a different one. There is a cure. It's a very difficult one, but you can cure it. Oh. Now, subhanAllah, I don't think it was misdiagnosed. I just think to myself, with corn by corn, it's all documented. So if people go through my medical history, will show mantle cell, but all of a sudden it was misdiagnosed, and this is what it is. And subhanAllah, I don't think it was misdiagnosed. I just think sometimes there's a higher authority. Oh, yeah. You can't misdiagnose stuff that it's just there.
Somebody else is in charge.
And so it was called a bone marrow transplant. You could do a bone marrow transplant, but the chance of survival is 50-50. At that stage, my son was too young, and I said to my wife, look, let me just keep doing the chemotherapy, put it in remission, now that it's not mantle cell, but let me, just in case I don't make it, I want my son to at least to be able to remember his father, even if it's not just vivid memories of certain things. And then subhanAllah, we had Moses, the second son, and then I thought, okay, let me wait, let him understand his father. If it's not fair that one son didn't once, and I'll do the chemo every 2 or 3 years. Every 2 or 3 years, I'll get a call from the oncologist saying, listen, it's come back. Oh, okay. But eventually they said, Eddie, look, you can't wait that much longer. You need to do this bone marrow transplant. Oh, okay. But it was difficult in itself, that thing there. They only do 4 at any given time. And even now, they only ever do 4 at any given time, every 6 weeks. Yep. I did it with 3 others. 2 of them passed away at the hospital. Okay. Because what they do, they give you full chemotherapy and full body radiation. So you no longer have an immune system. Oh, wow. If you get sick, there's nothing they can do. So it was at the Alfred Hospital. It was level number 6 or 5. So there's 2 doors. So they open a door, and then they have to wait for it to be closed vacuum, your visitor, your parents, or just very close, and then they can go into your room. They had to be dressed up. They had to have the gown, almost like now for COVID. It was back then, because there was the patient, which was me, had no immune system. Yeah. And so I was meant to be in there for 6 weeks and recover, but anything that could go wrong went wrong, and so I was there for a whole year. Oh, okay. At the Alfred Hospital. I remember one New Year's Eve, and the next New Year's Eve I was still there seeing the fireworks go. So I lost the ability to talk. Right. I lost my eyesight, so all I could see was silhouette. And my walking, I couldn't walk either. Okay. And then I had to rebuild, and alhamdulillah, now I'm fluent with my talking. My eyesight's great, but still there's the hips. If I'm not focused, the walking isn't still right. Okay. Because the brain hasn't sort of got that right. And alhamdulillah, it's still fantastic. Yeah. But while I was in hospital, and they'll give me all these drugs to get me through this, they gave me some wrong drugs, and it put my healthy kidneys to sleep. So all of a sudden, I was recovering from this, the cancer, still in hospital. They'd lost my kidneys, and now I was on dialysis. I had no idea what dialysis was. It's like, what's dialysis? And they're saying, well, no, your body doesn't flush out the water anymore.
Kidneys are not functioning.
And so then I was on dialysis machine, no fault of my own. It wasn't like I abused my kidneys. I went in with healthy kidneys, came out. Anyway, so I was on a dialysis machine now, 3 times a week.
A week.
So, and then with dialysis, you can't drink. You can only drink 750 ml of water. a day. Any more than that, you end up drowning inside.
Okay.
Very, very difficult, because I went from having cancer where you have to drink as much water as you can.
Yeah.
So there's a conflict of all of those. It was a very difficult time. Very difficult time. So my blood, the bone marrow transplant, what that is, that's getting blood from a donor. So I got my sister's blood.
Okay.
So my blood was A positive.
A positive.
All of a sudden I put my sister's blood in her bone marrow, which is O positive.
Okay.
So my blood went from A to O. But the fight internally when that's happening is what's called graft versus host disease.
Yeah.
And that's where most people pass away while they're still at the hospital. There was a lot of complications I did, but I survived that, alhamdulillah. Now I've got I've got my sister's internal.
Okay.
So my blood is gone. I've got my sister's blood that runs through my body, and I've got her immune system. My mum, they wouldn't let me get a new kidney until they knew 100% of cancer had gone. Okay. So I was on a dialysis machine for 4 years. Even though my mum was prepared to donate her kidney at day one, I said, no, if his cancer comes back, it's a waste. So I had to be on 4 years on a dialysis machine.
Right.
And that taught me patience.
Yeah.
So everything in life teaches us something. That taught me to be very, very patient. Every second day I'd have to jump onto a machine while I'm working, middle of the day it was at Baxter High Street in Kew. My hands there, 2 things there, the machine's there, I can't move.
Yeah.
So, and then I have to learn to write with the left hand, do everything with the left hand, because you can't move this hand for 5 hours.
5 hours.
5 hours every second day, during the day. They don't do it at night. It has to be during the day.
Okay.
But these are some of the things and I would work before and then work after.
Okay.
And when you're on a machine, it's like you run a marathon.
Okay.
Very, very difficult.
Energy out of it.
Yeah. So, but the reason I'm saying all of that is that, you say people don't reflect. So all this medical thing I just spoke about very briefly.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a kidney from my mum, alhamdulillah. And so now I've got my mum's kidney.
Okay.
And I've got my sister's blood.
Okay.
But the reason I'm spoken about my medical thing is when you're talking about a lot of people when they were younger, we're going back to it, is they don't reflect. Yeah. But when I was very early, I had a calamity. I was sick. We've just discussed it all. And that's what made me remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a young age. And so from a young age now, I was sick, and I knew I didn't want my son to ever want if his father wasn't there. And, it's hard. You've got a family.
Yeah.
So if something happened to you, how are they going to survive? Who are they going to ask for money? Are they going to ask? They're going to have to ask all family members for money. I never wanted that.
Yeah.
So it became extreme in me to be able to invest my money correctly.
Yeah.
So from a young age, I never bought anything fancy. It was always like, I've got money, let me invest it. Let me invest it. And up until today, I don't think I'll invest in anything that I think is just a luxury, unless it was extra money that I didn't worry about.
Yeah.
I won't buy something if I don't have that money to spend on it, and it's only like a minuscule amount of my wealth to buy it.
Yes.
I won't put myself out, because when you're young, you just build yourself up to invest properly, because you're not going to be here like everyone thinks they're going to live forever.
True.
I was told when I was very young, I'm not living forever.
Yeah.
And then alhamdulillah, it taught you to reflect there.
Yeah, no, I think this lesson is very, very important that you mentioned. I think not a lot of people, especially when you're young, and not a lot of people are involved in your life, you think this is the best way to use your money, or even if you want to invest, you actually kind of like looking for things to invest. Then you don't know how to invest as well. But I think a strong father figure in your life as kids is very, very important. My father passed away in 2007.
Allah yarhamu. So how old was he and how old were you?
I was 70. I would have been 28, and he would be 73.
Allah yarhamu.
I think 73. He smoked cigarettes and pipes and all those sort of things, and cigars as well. And then he quit for at the age of 60. He became quite well in those after 10 years of quitting. However, straight after 10 years, his lungs, because he was using quite a lot of cigarettes, and he had lung cancer basically. So he was bedridden for 3 years at home, and then.
So with that, so you can do lung transplants. Can you do lung transplants? Why am I thinking you can do a lung transplant?
I'm not sure what happened back then. He had emphysema.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure at that age lung transplant
maybe okay
would be the best. He basically oxygen was not running through his blood, and he used to use a nebulizer to kind of like get oxygen and things like that. My mom was like almost like a 24-hour nurse for him at home. He didn't want to go to the hospital. He hated the hospital. Like you hate the traffic.
Yeah, well, I think anyone that is a long-term patient, like myself or like your father, you end up not liking the hospital. So once I got out of the hospital, I was very similar to your dad.
Yeah.
If there was someone sick, I would say to my wife, look, please, just send my regard. I don't want to go. I had a bad feeling because, every night they'd give me a day sent where I could leave, but I'd always have to come back.
Yeah.
And it was always difficult. It's almost like a jail.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
But sorry, so your father was on a ventilator at home.
Yeah. And he basically could not really walk around too much. He was just bed to the chair to the toilet. That's pretty much he was there. He used to talk to people on the phone. He used to invite a lot of people at home, and basically whoever came, we had a townhouse in Sydney. They used to we all used to congregate in his room, and he loved that
He was
environment.
a person's people.
Yeah, he was big on people. Big. He loved talking. He loved talking about the Deen. He loved talking about any subject. But his pet subject was Islam. He was very well versed in it as well. To whatever level of knowledge he had, he used to discuss with people, whether his neighbors and other people.
Seemed like a good man.
Yeah, very
was his
interesting.
name?
Khalid.
Allah yarhamu.
Yeah, very interesting personality. But I was going to say that we talked about your childhood and your career and your health concerns as well in the past. How are you now with your health-wise?
Alhamdulillah, as good as you can be. So what had happened when I did a bone marrow transplant, and then all of a sudden, no one has ever done a bone marrow transplant. Their blood's changed from O to A, and then did a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
So they made me sign off to say, listen, that I'm aware that this may not work, and that I might not survive this. But I was still very young, and I couldn't stay on dialysis for any length of time, because what will end up happening is that you'll die much quicker anyway.
Yeah.
And I was still very young, and alhamdulillah, we did it, and it all worked out. So now I'm on anti-rejection drugs.
Okay.
So I'm on about 25 tablets a day, still now. 25 tablets a day. But to me, it's easy. It's like popping Tic Tac. Don't worry about it. Some other people got 4 tablets, and having 4 tablets, and they're so stressed. They're having 4 tablets. I think, subhanAllah, give me all these tablets you can give me, rather than sit me on a machine for 5 hours every second day. And then when I'm not on a machine, I'm very restricted on what I can drink. Stone fruit you can't have because it's got potassium in it. You can't have bananas. There's a lot. You can't have watermelon because it's got too much liquid in it. There was all these other restrictions while you're off dialysis. And for someone who loves food, very contrived, very, very restricted diet. Very, very restricted. And so subhanAllah, to take a few tablets a day, to me, as an alternative to being on a dialysis machine, any day of the week. And alhamdulillah, I'll have them now, and bismillah as I'm having them. There's no issue. No issue.
Just the way you said it, popping pills like Tic Tac.
Tic Tac, there's nothing. It's a zero. It means nothing to me because I know the alternative is so much worse. But when people don't know the alternative is worse, then they have it. So, and then also, with the COVID and the vaccine. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer, nor am I promoting someone that should do the vaccine. But I was one of these ones that was, my category is that my immune system, I'm taking drugs, 25 tablets a day to keep my immune system down. If I'm too healthy, what's going to happen? My body will kill the kidney, subhanAllah. So what happens if you've got a transplant, heart transplant, liver transplant, father, subhanAllah, imagine he did get the lung transplant, double lung transplant. He would, for the rest of his life, would be on anti-rejection drugs. They'll be giving him drugs to keep his immune system down, so it doesn't
reject it.
So it doesn't kill it, because your body will realize this is a foreign object, and its job is to kill it. Our immune system is to kill anything that's foreign. So I'm on drugs now to keep my immune system down, so it keeps the kidney healthy. And so the kidneys are at the back. So what they do when you do a kidney transplant, they put it at the front near the groin area. So the kidney's there, and it's one kidney that you have. But you're on anti-rejection drugs. So the drugs I'm having now is purposely to keep my immune system down. So when it came to the COVID jab, I was a bit concerned at the start because I'm seeing and subhanAllah, some of the signs of the last hour is you don't know what to trust. And now with the internet, now with all this social media, people can put whatever they want. It's very difficult to try and decipher what's true and what's not true, and what you should follow and what you shouldn't follow. So initially I was a bit cautious. And I thought, listen, I want to just watch out. But then there were more and more people that I saw went into hospital. Now, again, I'm not praising one or the other. But for someone with a compromised immune system, I thought it was important for me to have it.
Okay.
So my kids, they took the 2 and my wife took the 2.
Yeah.
And now it's for them to be able to work and go to school and all the rest, like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
But I've gone on, I've had my 6th jab.
Okay.
So, but that's one of the things where I'm one of these ones I think have to have it.
Okay.
My kids and my wife, no, they just stopped that too.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think my kids needed it. Their immune system was strong enough, they didn't need it.
Yeah.
But someone like myself and someone else, I know some other people who didn't have it, and they were compromised, they're no longer with us because they had a chance to take this drug and they didn't.
Yeah.
In fact, those drugs that they give me every day, I haven't even gone into each one of them individually to see what they are.
Okay.
But when it happens that the COVID one, I wanted to know everything about it because of this miscommunication that was out there.
Yes.
But these tablets that I have, if I look up any one of these tablets, it'll give me all the side effects are very, very bad too.
Okay.
But what's the alternative? The alternative is that I don't take the tablets. It'll reject the kidney.
Yeah.
So there's people like me, I think, need to do stuff, but the rest of the community, absolutely not.
Yeah.
They don't need it. Their immune system is strong enough.
Yeah.
They don't need it.
Yeah.
But I haven't had COVID yet.
Yes.
My wife's had it.
Okay.
Kids have had it.
Okay.
My wife's had it really bad twice, and I was in a room with her, but for some reason,
okay, you didn't get it.
It doesn't. Don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
One thing I quickly want to mention is we didn't mention I didn't stop you there. You mentioned very quickly about marriage. How did you marry here? Did you marry overseas?
No, I married here. So I met my wife at school.
Yeah. Okay.
I went to an all-boys school.
All boys.
So my parents wanted me to go to all-boys school. They, like I was saying to you, I'm the first one in the Fakhri family to go to university.
Yeah.
And my 2 older brothers had already not shown any promise.
Okay.
And they had one more chance with me before my sister came along. And so they took me to my brothers both went to a different school. They put me in an all-boys school. It's a public school called Northcote High. It was all boys.
Northcote, yeah.
But subhanAllah, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala works, He actually put in girls when I was in
certain year
11. When I was in year 11, they brought in girls. And it was only a few girls. And what had happened, my wife now was one of those girls that they brought in.
Okay.
And so there was 7 or 8 girls, and there was about 500 boys.
Okay.
And so it was just a fascination.
Yeah.
And then alhamdulillah, I married one of those girls.
Okay.
And we're still married now.
Yeah, no, good story. I wanted to mention that how was your life? So at what age you got married, and how was your life after marriage?
So we got together when we were very young. We stayed together. So she was Muslim, I was Christian, brother.
Okay.
So I wasn't Muslim.
Okay.
I was Christian. But subhanAllah, God lures people in different ways.
Yeah.
Attracts them. Who Allah puts on a path, no one can misguide, and who Allah allows to go astray, no one can guide. Yeah.
Sure.
So here I am. There's this beautiful girl, and I was in a sister's class, not in her class. She was younger. Okay. And but it was an instant attraction to this girl. So Allah put something in me to just focus on this girl.
Yeah.
And I would sit with a sister in home class, and I'd say, listen, you have to help me get your sister. I really like your sister. Do what you can. Come. Anyway, for one whole year, she kept saying no to me. Oh. And I was a Christian boy. She was a Muslim girl. Yeah. And then finally, subhanAllah, she says yes. And then we're together. But we weren't very intimate. We can't be.
Yeah.
And she said, look, I'm Muslim. You're Christian. This isn't going to work. And then I started looking into the deen, more to disprove it than to prove it. To say to her, well, listen, my religion's correct.
Yeah.
You know. But I read the Quran. But you don't just read the Quran, you've got all these footnotes. Yeah. All these asterisks. Yeah. So it took me a while. Yeah. But subhanAllah, then there was Marcel Burgel, I think his name was. It was called The Bible, the Quran, and Science.
Science, yes.
And I read that book maybe 22 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And I read it, and then from that, there was Ahmed Deedat. Remember Ahmed Deedat?
Yes.
So I started listening. He had then a lot of tapes, VHS tapes, to put them in.
That's right.
And I was listening to a lot of his stuff. And in fact, and I was at university, I was the one, or part of the ones, that actually got him to come from South Africa to here. Dallas Brook Hall. We got him to come to Dallas Brook Hall, and we had Professor Weeks, this other fellow who was a Christian, and then they did a debate. Okay. So I was one of the guys that brought him here because I was really fascinated, and as a Christian who became a Muslim, his in-depth knowledge of the Bible and the transition, and for me, a lot of points in the Bible will lead you, if you're a genuine mu'min and you're open. Yeah. Like the early Jews became Christian. A lot of them didn't because Jesus was born in a Jewish family. Yeah. And then he was a prophet, so they changed with him. And then the early Christians, when the Prophet Muhammad came, became Muslim. Yeah. And so I think if someone with an open heart can revert to the real one, someone that doesn't, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want them to, they can't. Yeah. So for me, the beacon was my wife. And subhanAllah, Allah subhanAllah reward her for that, and her steadfastness that she didn't give herself to me.
Yeah.
And then, but that was amazing.
Yeah, that's a very interesting story.
Yeah, so my background is very diverse. I'm the first person to become Muslim from where I am in Lebanon. Very difficult. A lot of them, see, my Christian family are amazing family. I love them. But when you're going to become Muslim, just like one of your children now wants to become Christian, you're not going to take that well.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I respected my parents completely, even till today.
Yeah.
Absolute complete respect for them. For them, even still talking to me and integrating with me is amazing.
Yeah.
So my whole community where I'm from, Shadi, it's one of the best communities ever.
Okay, that's
the support's still there. They love me. Everything's still amazing.
Yeah.
But you can imagine now, your Muslim son turns and becomes Christian. A lot of times the Muslims will abandon him.
Yeah.
You know, right or wrong, they'll say, nah.
He's a goner. Yeah.
Cut the ties.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, my parents didn't cut the tie.
Yeah.
They didn't want it.
Yeah.
They did everything they can to make sure it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But SubhanAllah, when it happened, they respected it. And till today, we're still, there's no difference between me and any of my other siblings.
Yeah.
And my family and my Muslim family, they'll invite them to everything that they do.
Yeah.
And my Muslim family will come. They don't drink alcohol, don't do that. But there's now an interconnection. It's like a medium where we've crossed.
Yeah.
So when every year I do a Ramadan dinner.
Yes.
This one that just passed, I think we had 450 people.
Yeah.
That started in our house when it was only 5 or 6 people.
Yes.
And so my family come to that. And then when my parents do Christian stuff, like for Christmas or Easter, my Muslim family will come. You know, some people will look at that staunchly and say, no, you can't. A Muslim can't celebrate anything to do with that. To me, I just think you've got to have a balanced life.
Yeah.
And my family is Christian and my family is Muslim.
Yeah.
Integrating both families isn't a problem. At the time of the Prophet, they're integrated with each other. Yeah. As long as we don't do any haram.
Yes.
But I get people say certain things on one spectrum and the other spectrum.
Yeah.
It doesn't faze me.
Yeah. You know, I think because your situation is different. Those who comment or like to comment on these sort of they don't understand the whole picture, because your story is not just another story. You're not just another Muslim saying, "Oh, okay."
I've lived it.
Yeah,
but there are other reverts who turn around and say, "Nah, I don't want to deal with any of my family. They're this, they're that." Yeah. It says, sometimes when you become early Muslims, whether you come from a Muslim family, in my experience, whether you come from a Muslim family and you're not very religious, and all of a sudden you find deen, I find they're very extreme.
Yeah.
Like, nah, that's haram, that's halal, that's haram, that's, and it's just like that. They're very extreme. And then after that, they moderate, and then they become balanced. Because Islam's about balance, if you ask me. You can't be extreme, pray all the time, fast all the time, and nothing else.
Yeah, true.
That's too extreme.
Yeah,
but you can't be completely the other side where, you're always drinking alcohol, doing all haram, gambling, and then thinking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to save me because He's the Rahman ar-Rahim.
Yeah.
Both those ends of the spectrum are wrong. But you've got to be balanced in the middle.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what it is.
100%.
But the early Muslims, where a revert becomes Muslim, and there's some of the nutcases too, by the way. And I did something on TikTok not too long ago on an Eid al-Adha, saying that the prophets have dreams. Their dreams are revelation. But and the reason I said that is because there are a lot of people who come into the deen and all of a sudden think, okay, if you said something wrong about our prophet, I've got the right to kill you.
Mm.
They're just extreme. They don't understand. They're just extreme. They think, okay, if I kill him, it's going to be jihad, I'm going straight to heaven. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So there are some people, when they first come to the deen, they're very extreme. So sometimes I get comments from the reverts, and I'm thinking, okay, they're still at the extreme stage. Not going to respond. They're still, you've got to be balanced.
Yeah.
As long as I don't do anything that's haram.
Yeah.
And my kids, and as long as the people we're with, we're more of an influence on them than they are on us, it's okay.
Yes.
But if they're more of an influence on you and they say, come on, drink, and all of a sudden you're drinking, then you can't be a part of that.
Yeah.
But my children, when they're there, and they're Christian brothers, they'll be somewhere, and someone will try and give my son, just drink. His Christian family will say, no, don't put it next to him. He's Muslim, push it away. They'll actually get a conflict if that person is persisting on it. Yeah. And so
that's pretty
to have that from people who drink but know that you can't drink and respect that you don't drink is amazing.
It's pretty good.
So we're more of an influence than they are.
Yeah.
And so you can integrate with that.
Yeah.
But you've got to be balanced. Anything you've got to do in life, you've got to be balanced. Alhamdulillah, that's all it is.
100%.
Alhamdulillah.
The balance is not easy to strike, especially when you whether you revert or even a Muslim who is realizing what it means to be a Muslim. So there's two type of when you in a Muslim family, you grow up 15, 16, 17 years of age, and then you kind of like start reading stuff, start listening to lectures, and then you all of a sudden you become
but some become extreme very quickly.
Yeah.
They're very extreme because I'll tell you, brother, that's haram.
Yeah.
And this is halal. And someone, talking about early Muslims, Fatima said that if the Prophet ﷺ started off, and it's Sahih Muslim, I think, if he started off by saying that if the Prophet ﷺ first said the first thing he decreed was you can't drink alcohol and you can't eat pork, she said, wallah, everyone would keep drinking and eating pork.
Yeah.
That wasn't the first one. The first one was the love of dunya, of ikhra. So once he got people to love the
connect.
Then it became, and then when it decreed that we can't have alcohol, because early Muslims at that time were allowed to drink still.
Yeah.
When it was decreed that the revelation came, you can't have any more alcohol. They said it was like blood in the streets.
Yeah.
They just poured it out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, let me finish this one drink. They just literally, if they were in a bar and they heard that, they spat it out.
Yeah.
That's how much of the love they had of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ikhra.
Yeah. So that was more important than just do's and don'ts. Yeah. True,
so those ones who get into the deen and they're extreme and they tell someone don't do this and do that, they're not attracting that person to your religion.
Yeah.
If anything, you're going to make them even further away.
Yeah.
And we can go back to that story to say that wasn't the first thing that was revealed.
True.
So we always got to go back.
Yeah.
So I never had a Muslim to go back to.
Yeah.
I had the mosque and all the rest of it, but I didn't have a father figure for the deen.
Yeah.
So I would ask, even till today, I would say, okay, would the Prophet ﷺ do this, yes or no? If the answer is no, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, I would do it.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to moral stance.
Yeah.
Okay, would the Prophet ﷺ, what would he do in this situation? Well, he wouldn't do that. So I won't do it. So it's easy to work out.
Yeah.
Very, very easy to work out.
That's
You just got to watch out for those people who are extreme. So I was talking when I was doing that TikTok, and I was saying, listen, the Prophet ﷺ, because the Prophet Abraham, how it was decreed for him to slaughter his son.
Yes.
And then right at the last minute, it was sacrificed, and it was a lamb, and that's why we sacrifice lamb today.
Yes. Yeah.
But I made a TikTok to say, listen, the prophets, their dreams are revelation. But their first revelation isn't go kill your kid. Their first revelation is build up. So what they'll do in the early, like all the prophets, they'll have a dream. The next day, that dream will come true. They'll go to bed, another dream will come true. So they'll realize that they're interconnected, and then the Archangel Jibreel would come and then say, listen, you've been chosen. So there was a build-up of it.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't just happen.
Yeah.
So some people, I remember there was someone it was just after 9/11, Australian guy.
Yeah.
He was on a plane to Tasmania.
Okay.
He had a revelation. Jesus was telling him, take over the plane.
Oh, okay.
But they never said that was extreme terrorist. They said he was deranged. And it was interesting that the vocabulary the media used. So the story's still there, and you can probably look at snippets of it. They were saying he was a deranged Christian. Just deranged.
Yeah.
Not even say Christian. He was a deranged man. He thought he had revelations.
Yeah.
So there are people out there, they'll have a dream and think, okay, well, this may be from God and I want to act on it. Our dreams can get interpreted, but they're not revelation. 100%. So, but it was just, so we could stay balanced.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, stay balanced.
We talked about the marriage. Kids. How many kids do you have?
So I've got 4 boys.
Okay.
But 2 of them are ours.
Okay.
So 2 of them are biological kids.
Okay.
And then we had 2 boys that they needed to be fostered.
Oh, okay.
And we took in 2 foster boys.
Okay.
And their childhood wasn't the best. One of them had a lot of issues as well.
Yeah.
And anxiety, Tourette's, OCDs, and certain issues he had.
Okay.
And we knew that bringing them in, alhamdulillah, 2 brothers, and we've taken them. Yeah. They became part of our family. Yeah. We had them when they were early secondary school, so maybe year 7, year 8. Yeah. And they're still with us now. The oldest one, he became 20, and he decided he's at university. Okay. He decided to go and, you can get university dorms and you can be as a student, and he wanted these evolved to himself. But what happens in a foster system? At the age of 18, you get a letter saying, okay, well, now they're 18, they can go.
Right.
There's no one at the age of 18 is ready to leave.
Yeah.
How do you tell someone that's been in the house with you for 7 or 8 years, all of a sudden, I'm so sorry, you have to go?
Yeah.
You can't. So we got that letter, just threw it out.
Yeah.
Didn't even tell the kids about it.
Yeah.
And then the 20-year-old, the other one now, he's 19. Okay. They were 2 brothers. Yeah. The 19-year-old is still with us. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we've got 4 boys all to answer to that.
And someone in your family got married.
Yeah. They get married every week. So if you look on my TikToks, for example, social media, every week there's a wedding. Every week there's a wedding. So when you say someone in your family got married, it's like, listen, you're going to be a bit more specific than that.
I was going to say, your son got married.
So he got engaged.
Okay.
So he got engaged to a Turkish girl. Okay. And and I did a TikTok on that.
Yes.
And that was one of the ones, the TikToks that got a lot of publicity.
Yes.
Yeah, that got a lot. That was sort of on podcasts and on media around the world, that one.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
It was just two different traditions getting together.
Yeah, that was good. So a wedding to be coming up soon.
Inshallah in December.
Beautiful.
So we're well on the way of organising that. Big family, so it's going to be a big wedding.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. Now, are you big on Turkish food?
Okay, so I love Turkish food because I like street food. I like charcoal food. And is there a suggestion for me to go on TikTok?
No, you just recently went to Turkey.
So I went to Turkey. I wasn't meant to go to Turkey.
Okay.
I was meant to go somewhere else. I wanted to do more of a different part of Europe.
Okay.
But then somehow ended up being Turkey. And I said, you know what? Let's go. I haven't been there before, and I love Turkish food, love the Turkish culture.
Yeah.
So I went there, had a ball.
Yeah,
absolute
beautiful,
ball.
Beautiful.
So we went on the subways, we went out to the suburbs, we just went everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're not confined just to sort of stick to the hotel and 100 meter around the hotel.
Yes.
We went everywhere.
How long was the trip? 10 days?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
3 weeks.
That's a massive trip.
Istanbul, then from Istanbul, Antalya. From Antalya, went to the Cappadocia. And then from Cappadocia, went back to Istanbul.
Wow, that's a massive trip.
So it was massive. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, beautiful. How did you find the food over there?
A lot of people have asked that. Now, the food's good there.
Yeah.
But the Turkish food here is so much better. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
The Turks from over there came with the culture, with the style of food.
Yeah.
But our meat here in Australia is supreme to anywhere else in the world. So when you're having it, even though it's nice, it can't equate to the ones here in Australia.
Gotcha. That's the difference.
That's the difference.
Gotcha.
Everything else is the same.
Yeah.
But when I'm in Sydney Road here, or one of the restaurants that I've done here, and I'm eating their food, it's amazing. Gotcha. Over there, it's nice. Yeah. But our meat here is just amazing. Sublime.
Yes.
So it's the best in the world. Yeah. If you ask me, our meat here is the best in the
world. One thing I wanted to check with you. I have a Turkish friend. His name is Ingan. He went on a Turkish tour back to his own country, and he basically tells me that he and his wife drove around Turkey and stopped at almost like each village for half a day or day, and then they went on to the next village. Each village has its own cuisine, own style of doing things. And did you experience that?
No, so I didn't experience that. Okay. Where I was still like touristy areas.
Tourist areas.
And they make it look as authentic as it can. Okay. Almost like now you go to Sydney Road. It's not authentic. It's just these guys have got together and done a business and trying to attract it. Yeah. So it wasn't like everyone had a different style. There was one called bedek, which is traditional stews in pots. And they do it from, several hours beforehand. Yep. But most of the places I went to, I found it was just the same. And then also that their stands are very similar. Yeah. So it's slightly different, but I didn't get that though.
Okay.
I didn't get that. Yeah. I just found that it was Turkey. One thing that interested me is they had very limited English.
Okay.
I found that surprising.
Yeah. With the amount of tourism,
I would have thought that they would say the ones that spoke good English were more in the hotels and they got paid well.
Yeah.
Security, for example, at the airport, very limited English, and I thought that was unusual. Yeah. And now I'm looking at it from someone from an English-speaking country, and I think we're a bit rude thinking that they should have the language. Yeah. But English now is almost like an international.
It is.
So you would think that people in the positions where there's high touristy areas would speak more English. The metro. Yeah. I would ask the person, listen, this isn't no English.
Okay.
No English. I found it in the Europe side of Istanbul.
Okay.
I found it interesting to say, well, I'm not understanding how there's no English here. And then Arabic, they don't like to speak Arabic. Okay. Arabic was a language that they took out of their
curriculum.
So I'd say English, and I'd say Arabic, and then even more. Okay. My wife kept saying, don't tell them you speak Arabic. So, well, I don't know. I was asking them, these are only two languages that I can communicate with. But alhamdulillah, we got through okay.
Okay.
That's a lot of sign language.
And you picked up some words from there?
Not really. No, I should be more. Like I find that English got almost an entitlement that you should speak our language. I get that.
Yeah.
And I should make more of an effort to try and speak their languages. Yeah. But I didn't. That's going to be honest with you. I didn't.
It's all good. It's all good. No, it's. But you enjoyed yourself. It was very good.
Loved Turkey. Absolutely loved it. Everything about it, I loved it, and I documented it. I think
you did
quite significantly.
I've seen quite a nice. You went to this amazing Japanese restaurant.
Yeah, that's interesting in itself. So why would I go to a Japanese restaurant when I'm in Turkey?
But it looked amazing.
It was one of these things where my wife said to me, "Listen," because I think she got COVID when we were over there too, by the way, and she lost a lot of her taste. Okay. So whatever she felt like, I was saying, "Whatever you want, we're going to go to." Yeah. And she said, "Listen, Eddie, look, I'm not more into that street food like you. And then she wanted to dine there, and we had some friends with us. No problem. Yeah. We went there. We went to a couple of Japanese restaurants though. That's one. There was a lot that I filmed, but how much can you put on?
Exactly.
So I don't want to be one of these guys that's putting 4 different posts every single day.
Yeah.
So I'll try and limit it to 1 post a day. But there were a lot of restaurants we did that couldn't get there. There were some restaurants we went to, I didn't like them.
Okay.
And one thing people need to know for your viewers on this podcast is every single night I'm at a restaurant. Every single night of the year I'm at a restaurant. Because these people make an effort to reach out and please can you come and support my business, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
But if I don't like the food, I don't post it.
Fair enough.
So there'll be people say, "Oh, he's always saying that each place he's gone to is good." I don't do negative reviews.
Yeah.
I just think to myself, it might have been me that day that had a bad day.
100%.
Maybe my taste buds were wrong that day. 100%. Maybe that chef that day was having an issue. There could be something where it's just a bad experience. I'm not going to put it.
Yeah.
I'll just rather not even mention it and not put it.
Yeah, 100%.
So if a day or 2 goes by and I haven't got a food review out there, assume that I've gone somewhere, but I didn't rate the food that I would think, okay, I would like people to come out to this restaurant.
Yeah, it's pretty much the exact approach that I use.
Same. So if you had a bad experience, now I always want to pay.
Yeah,
I always want to pay. Yeah. But there are occasions where the person will insist and almost getting offended. Yeah. In that case, I don't pay. Yeah. I'll try and tip the staff to make it equivalent to what it was. Yeah. Often I'll be with someone and they've invited me, so they'll pay on behalf. But I won't let them know. I was at a Pakistani place last night.
Yes, you were. I saw the
I was there.
Yeah, Bulan restaurant.
Yeah, and I was there for a client.
Yes, okay.
He wanted to meet me there, and then he said, "Look, Eddie, we're here." Yeah. And he followed. And he said, "Look, do you want to do a review on the place?" I said, "Look, no problem. We're here. Yeah. We're here talking business. Yeah. As long as you don't mind." He said, "No, please. It'll be good for the establishment." Yeah. The guy didn't want to charge us.
Oh, okay.
I said, "No, we have to pay. Yeah. We have to pay." And then the fellow I was with, I just said, "No, we have to pay." Yeah. He said, "Okay, Eddie, look, I've invited you. I'm going to pay." Okay. But I wouldn't allow him not to pay and me post it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah. So you like the food, Pakistani?
The food I found was very similar to Turkish food almost. Yeah. What I had. Yeah. The goat curry, I loved it, but it played on me last night.
Oh, okay.
It played on me because it was very spicy. The chicken, there was that chicken that looked like it was a mince that they made it into like a kebab. Yeah. That I found very, very spicy.
Yes.
I loved the food, but it did play on me last night a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, but the food was amazing.
Did you have yogurt with the thing?
Yeah, I had the yogurt. I dipped it into the yogurt.
Yogurt helps.
It helps. It helps, but it did still. And I love hot spice, but it does affect me because of the kidney transplant or bone marrow transplant and all the tablets I have. Yeah. It does play on me later.
Yeah, I was going to say that I do cooking myself as well.
So you're a good cook?
I'm a decent cook.
Yeah.
But I'll do very limited dishes. I'll send you some.
Send me some.
Send you some pictures. But one day
you don't do any posts?
I for Eid I cooked. My wife cooked. There was almost like a competition between me and her.
Did you film it?
Yeah, I just need to put it up soon. She cooked 2 dishes and I cooked two dishes. But my technique is such that I'm not big on spice mixes. I put less spice, but a little bit more chili, fresh chili.
Yeah, if you can have fresh chili. Yeah, but fresh chili too in itself is very intense flavor.
No, when you're cooking with it. Not having the fresh chili as it is, but when you're cooking it relieves subtle flavor.
So it's less than having it like in a bottle concentrated.
Yeah, that's something else. That's like almost like a chili oil or something along those lines.
Yeah, it'll be a chili oil, concentrated chili oil.
Yes, or having fresh chili with the food. What I'll try to do is we will have if I'm cooking something, whether it's chickpeas, whether it's some lamb stew, I'll only do a couple of dishes, but those dishes
But you have the seed in there or you don't have the seed in there? The seed is a big thing.
Seed is in there.
So the seed's in there as well. So it's a very spicy chili. You have it with the seed in there, but you say it gets diluted.
Yes. So it just, you would not feel the chili level.
Oh, not the same as having the oil later. Of course not. No, it won't be.
No,
because that'll be more intense. You've infused it into the dish.
Yeah. It won't be.
Yeah. And some of it gets evaporated as well.
Exactly. So you will get it very subtle chili flavor.
Nice.
Without the spice, because the spice gives heartburn.
It can.
That is something I not.
So it doesn't play on me with heartburn. It plays on me in the stomach.
Okay.
Like that night, it'll be a little bit just
tummy.
But the tummy's a bit vulnerable. Not a stomach ache, but a bit vulnerable. I don't know what it is. Maybe the inside layer or something like that. But I do cook. I've got a segment on myself called Amateur Dad Cook, right? And there's a lot of things I cook.
Okay.
And I enjoy it. Yeah. But I think to myself, if I can promote somebody else tonight, why just go out and promote the other person? But often my wife will cook for our kids before we leave.
Okay.
So every night my wife says to me, Eddie, people think I don't cook. And I said, Zara, do you want me to film you? She says, I don't want you to film me, but people think I don't cook. She'll cook every night because our kids won't come with us. Okay. And they don't like to eat out. They just like to eat authentic home food. Kids at that age, they want to stay home as much as they can. Do whatever they do at home.
Do their own thing. I don't go out as much as you do, 100%, because I don't get to sort of. I only review, I think, once or twice a week.
As long as you're doing something and promoting some small business, good on you.
But you do that more than me because I think I notice this is where the community involvement comes in, where you're promoting other people's businesses, whether it's
could be anything.
Could be anything.
Today, a young man came to me and he said to me, "Listen, Eddie, I've got card details." And I said, "Brother, I've done 2 card details before.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to keep doing the same thing."
Yeah,
I was talking to him over about a week, and I said, "But look, I have a little scrape. Mm-hmm. I haven't filmed the scrape before. Right. What are your charges?" He said, "Look, $90 inside and outside. And how much would it be to buffer that section?" Mm-hmm. He said, "Buffer the whole car." I said, "No, just that one section." Yeah. He said, "Oh, they can do it for $40. I said, "Okay, so $130 altogether." I said, "Yeah. So I got him to come. Did I need a card detail today? I didn't, because it always got detailed. It's only a month or so ago. Yeah. But I want to support him. I'll pay him, and we'll film it. Yeah. The biggest thing is the time
factor,
because like someone detailing your car, you're outside with them for a good 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Which means you've got to put your own
other things on hold.
Well, your own business on hold, and I've got to make sure, and for all your viewers as well, you've got to make sure that you're not a candle. And what I mean by that, a candle gives everyone else light
and dies itself,
and it's diminishing every day. It diminishes, so we've got to make sure we're not a candle. That you're promoting somebody else, but at the same time, you're healthy in yourself and your business.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's burnout. And when people want your chunk of your day, I very rarely say yes to that. A lot of cafes reach out and I say, "Look, your cafes are business hours. Business hours. I need to dedicate it to my 100%. Work." But this boy, young guy, and I said, "Look, okay, I'm going to do it." Yeah. But moving forward, any more detailing of cars, it's very difficult because
it's a big amount of time.
Big chunk of your big. And I'm going to be posting that tonight. Okay. He's a great guy and he did an amazing job. Yeah. Okay. So I had a bit of it's a black Lexus, and someone scraped and they went. It was a white car, and you can see it's all white there, but you can't just take that out. Yeah. So he did an amazing job. Okay. So I thought that's going to add value to the viewer.
100%.
So someone that's watching it won't be just another car detail. That'll be okay. I've got a similar thing. I'll call this guy, and we can get it fixed. So it's value to them, and it's also value to him, and it connects.
Yes, 100%.
So they're the ones that I like to do posts for. Yeah. There are some that I've had to say no to because I didn't think I'm the guy that can sort of help promote it, and it'll be wasting their time and my time on something that I didn't think I could actually help with. Yeah. But the majority of the stuff, if I think it's going to add value to both parties, 100%. The viewer and to them, I'll do it. I'll make sure that I do it.
This is, I think. This is something I realized in the community when I started doing. This is roughly 2-3 years ago. I started doing YouTube. Initially, I thought I will promote businesses and I'll do food reviews, but then I realized that there's a big gap of promotion of all sorts of businesses, not just food. And slowly, I start to cover those businesses and put them on all the channels. So I try to promote, not as much as you, but I try to promote a little bit on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
So I haven't been on YouTube. Everyone's telling me go on YouTube, but for me, this isn't for me to make money.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, is there money in it? There's plenty of money.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, you could. I did one restaurant once. Yeah. Didn't take anything. There was another group of guys there doing that same restaurant, and they had to pay them $5,000 for that post. Wow. Well, I did mine. It was a complimentary thing. Look, I don't. As long as you benefit from this, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
There are some other places that were sort of big end places wanted me to do things for them, and we worked something out. But subhanAllah, I do it more, not for the money. Yeah. A lot of people reach out, young ones, how do I become a good famous TikToker? How can I do this? How can I do that? How much money is in it? And if your focus is on the money, it's the wrong thing. There is plenty of money. The new medium now is people like us who actually can go out and create content for an audience.
Yes.
It's massive, and there's massive money in it if you want it.
Yes.
But if you're in it for the money, it's like you're wrong right from the start.
100%.
You'd be passionate about trying to promote somebody else.
Exactly. Yes. That's
so
true.
I think one of my benefits is that I want to try and promote you and your amazingness. I'm just got the camera, but it's your amazingness that I need to get out there.
Yeah.
The guy today, he was amazing what he was doing. Amazing. He was very polite. And he was amazing. So I'm going to put it. So I said to him, listen, send me a message before I forget. And so tonight, after here, there's a food place I need to go to. So I'm not going to mention in case we don't like the food and we don't post it, and then people get plugged one together. But there is a food place I'm still going to tonight.
Oh, okay.
Some people don't like it. Sometimes when I'm in my kitchen, I'll always ask the person, are you comfortable being in front of it? Yeah. Often than not, it's look, I don't. So can I get your hands in there? Yeah. And they say yeah, and we just do their hands. But just for the record, I want the people to know none of these questions you've asked me were pre-rehearsed. I've come. I know what you're going to ask me. So you just had me and do what you want with me.
Yes.
Yeah. For that period.
It's beautiful. All the questions raised, you answered them beautifully. This is what I actually expected. And the other guests, I will obviously have to give them some questions, basic questions. Because they're extremely shy. You work with clients, you work with in a real estate agency, you're comfortable with talking to people. Chefs and people behind in the kitchen, not comfortable at all.
They've been designed in the kitchen,
focus on
away from the customer in most cases.
Yeah.
So a lot of restaurants where you say to the chef, listen, they want to give you compliments. They even then don't like to go out.
Yeah.
So they're just in the kitchen. They're doing their own thing. They're artists in the kitchen, and that's where they want to stay.
I do when I get a chance. I do speak to them for like a minute. I get them to rehearse whatever we're saying, and then I put the camera on them. And what I do is I put the camera here, and I'm talking to them. I said, don't worry about the camera. Just you talk to them.
But some of the restaurants I go to, they're very busy.
They're very busy, 100%.
And I did one recently. There's like 10 chefs in there. Yeah. And they're working away, and so when I go in, I try and go in as a fly on the wall, just film them. They're artists. Yeah. You can't interrupt an artist at their job, 100%. And so I just sort of just film them and just make sure I don't try to affect it.
100%.
Because the kitchen's one of these. It's a sacred place.
It is.
It's a sacred place,
100%.
And we've got to know our places in the kitchen. Sure. So when the owner says to me, Eddie, please go into the kitchen, I say, no, I need the chef's permission. If the chef gives me permission to go in, I'll go in. And someone will say, look, I'm the owner. So I understand you're the owner and I respect that. Yeah. But if I don't have the chef's permission, I'm not going to go into his kitchen.
You're right, yeah.
And there are sometimes I don't go into the kitchen.
Yeah.
They'll say, look, the chef isn't coming. I say, look, absolutely, that's fine. Can I film here? They allow me to film there and we do something.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And if I am going into the kitchen, I need to make sure that the chef is the head chef it gives the green light for me to go into his space.
Yeah, his space. It is
you got to respect that.
Yeah.
And as people who film, it's not about us. It's about them, and you got to respect that this is their domain.
Yeah.
Always ask for permission, and try and stay out of their way.
True.
Because they're creating, and I'm just trying to film little snippets without interrupting. The only advice I give, if they're open to discuss with you and they're not that busy, that's fine. Yeah. But just respect that kitchen. That true. You're there as 100%. A observer.
Observer, yes, from a distance. Yes,
and 100%. just be very careful.
They're allowing me or anybody else. It's a
special space.
Almost like a privilege. And 100% because my background is hospitality. I worked in hotels back in Perth before I got into IT. I mean IT and stuff. But I went through that process, and I think in the start you mentioned about. Sorry, not in the start. In the middle, you mentioned about reviewing food and reviewing restaurants, and not giving negative feedback because you did not like the experience.
I'm still filming it all.
Yeah, filming it, and you're not uploading and stuff.
I'm not going to upload it. It just wasn't. It wasn't for me. It just
100%.
wasn't. But it wasn't. No disrespect to the place.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel it.
Yeah, 100%. That's a very, very valid way to review. Because they could be having a bad day, and especially that
I could have had a bad day.
You could have a bad day as well.
I could have had a bad day, and I'm there in the wrong attitude. My attitude's wrong from the start, and I'm eating it, and I'm not enjoying it, or it could be anything.
Could be anything.
I just don't post it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to post anything that's negative because I'm trying to support a business. Yeah, I'm not trying to take away from that business.
Yeah, 100%. I'm thinking about a restaurant where it's a Pakistani restaurant, and I go there quite a lot. There's one particular dish which is on the menu still, and I don't know why it's on the menu.
You don't like it?
I don't like it, but this realization happened after a while that, okay, maybe it's me and my taste buds, but other people are liking it. So I don't have to. I do promote that restaurant and whatever the food is. It's just that I feel that what's the point of this dish? It's very bland and this and that, and does not really, it doesn't fit in.
Yeah.
But the thing is, other people are.
Well, the thing is, I do reviews, and then some people say, listen, you can't believe this guy. I've gone to some of these places and I haven't liked it.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, I've gone to some places and I haven't liked it, but other people do love it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say anything negative about it.
Exactly.
But somebody will go to these restaurants that I do, and I need people to know I'm not a food critic.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm somebody who's giving you a platform for them to shine, and at the same time gives the viewer, okay, these are some suggestions that we can do outside the norm.
Yeah.
We always go to the same place. Hang on, this is a suggestion for me to go to. So I'm not a food critic.
100%.
Like I won't know if that flavor needs this or that. I just know that I love it and I film it. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And if I've had a bad experience there, I can go on. I can go on and say, hey, I had this massive bad experience. I just don't do it.
There's no point.
Because you've got to be with our positions, particularly if there's people who watch our stuff. We're going to be very, very humble and make sure we don't use that in a negative way.
100%.
So I had a really bad experience. No one needs to know about it.
And I was going to say,
even if they're rude, I still don't feel I've got the right to say something negative about them. 100%. And this is a big corporation. That's something different. Big corporation earns billions of dollars and manipulating people. If I had a bad experience there, absolutely, I'll put them to shame. But a small business can't do it.
100%. I was thinking of giving feedback. I always make a point of giving feedback to the owner and whoever's there personally. There's no such thing as bad Google reviews because that's all, it's a thing these days.
Well, you've got to be responsible. Now, some people say, no, I'm a critic. I'll do positive and negative, and people should know about the negative places. That's their point of view, and I respect that completely. It's just not something I'm comfortable with.
100%. This restaurant I was thinking of, that night is very famous, and a lot of Muslims have recommended me. I happened to go there, ordered a few things, and they were having a bad night that night. I ended up reviewing a little bit, but I gave them the direct feedback, and I gave them another feedback via their Instagram post or page as well. I was making sure that they need to know that these are the points they need to keep in mind. Understanding that they were short-staffed and they were busy, and a lot of things were happening, and quality can go down. However, I said to them I will come back again, and I'll be doing more reviews. It's just that I was not able to fully promote, because.
So did you give them advice on what? I don't do the advice either.
I do that.
So I just think. I just don't think it's my place. You're different. You probably know. You come from hospitality.
I come from hospitality.
So
it's my thing because
I don't give them advice.
I tend to. I can see a lot of things that can be improved upon, but only give advice if they're willing to take advice.
I just don't do it. When they ask me what the food, the answer is always alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah good, alhamdulillah bad, but alhamdulillah. I just don't think it's my place.
That's all good.
To do it. If somebody wanted real estate advice, I've been doing that for 30 years. I can give them the real estate advice from personal experience. But I haven't run a kitchen. I haven't run that environment.
I have.
You have. So your point of view is much more valid than my point of view. My point of view is just film the awesomeness of the place. That place I went to yesterday, the Pakistani, they also have Italian food on the menu, and that's for the Pakistanis to know that it's all halal, and you can have, because I don't like to go to Italian restaurants, but I'm not going to promote that Italian bit because there's so many Italian restaurants I've promoted. So there was, even though there's a lot of Italian on the menu, I didn't want to promote any of that. It's more for authentic Pakistani food, and I enjoyed it. Someone said, Eddie, listen, I've been to that place. I rate it as average. The two boys that I was with, they were saying last night was the best that they've ever had there. So it just happened that I got there and I had a pleasant experience. And that's what I'm going to film.
100%.
But it was amazing. But they were telling me, I said, listen, out of the 3 times I've been here now, this happens to be the best. And it wasn't because of me. He didn't know I was going. I just went in. So it just happened that I was there at that night where it was great food. And there were occasions where, like you're saying, you're going to go somewhere and they've had an off night.
Happens.
Do you go there? Look, if I've had an off night, do I go again? No. I just don't, because every night of the week I'm somewhere. I just won't go back there. I'll give that opportunity, that space to somebody else.
No, 100%. I was going to finish off.
Please.
Taken too much of your time.
Don't worry. The place I'm going to now is more of a dessert place that I'm doing.
Place.
So it's open until late. Okay. But yeah, go ahead. Maybe I'm not going to give more information than that in case I don't post it, but that's enough.
Okay. We talked about Turkey. I was going to say, we talked about your life. What's the next chapter in your life?
Just promoting small
businesses.
I think it's very big. Alhamdulillah, I've been very blessed. I've set myself up, alhamdulillah, with Allah's will that will happen. So alhamdulillah, look, that I'm okay. So for me, it's anyone that works for me, I want to promote them. There's great satisfaction that I can see that somebody that I've had has built themselves up and now has got a proper career. And it's very fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
But if I can promote somebody else, I'm very passionate about that. Yeah. Like I said, I've driven an hour and a bit. We've never met.
Yes.
To come to do your podcast in your lounge room.
Yes.
So I'm passionate about supporting you, and inshallah this all works out well for you and your YouTube channel, everything else works out. Yeah. So for me, the next step for me is just keep promoting as much as I can other businesses, because it is so big promoting other people.
100%. Yeah.
Rather than just focus on myself inward, I'd rather just focus and just promote other people, because everyone is awesome.
Yes.
If you give someone an opportunity to shine, sometimes it's amazing.
100%.
And I love that some of my videos don't do that well.
Yeah.
And they may only get maybe 7 or 8 or 10,000. Some of them get 8 or 900,000. I don't know what it is, but I wish them all 8 or 900,000.
Yeah.
I wish them all the best.
Promotion,
all the best. But I can't work out and predict what works and what doesn't, and what resonates with people.
Yeah.
But I wish everyone the best. Yes. Everyone, especially small business, because what a lot of people don't realize, that's small business. They've put their own money and they're most time working 7 days a week there.
Yeah.
And sometimes their house on the line.
Everything on the line, 100%.
Everything's on the line. That's what small business does. And they're the first ones to take your child for when they're wanting a part-time job.
Yeah. Yeah, casual part-time.
They're the first ones that do it. It's not the big corporation.
Yeah, true.
It's that one. It's a fish and chip shop. It's the clothes shop. It's whatever it is. It's a high street one. That small business is the first one to look after your child when they need you.
Yeah.
They're the first ones when a mum needs extra hours and school hours. They're the ones that are taking it. So they're the ones. When someone's all of a sudden is retired from work and they say, look, you're at age 65 now, we can't have you in this white collar job anymore. They're the ones that are going to say, listen, I've got this skill set, can I give it? And they're the ones that say, sure, come.
Yeah.
That's the veins of our community, small business. Yeah. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm finding that there's an agenda now to swallow up all the small businesses. So, for example, now
big fish.
Well, the big fish eat it, but then you have the COVID stuff, for example. That's wiped out a lot of them. Absolutely, a lot of them. Then you have interest rates that are going up now, incredibly. They talk about inflation, but they don't talk about the utilities that they sold off that now are going up 25, 30% each time. They're the one that's killing small businesses. Yes. There's a lot of things that I'm very passionate about. Yeah. There are things that I'll talk about, and there are things I'll try and promote. Yeah. So moving forward, my next step for me is just try and promote as much small business as possible. Yeah. I've done lots of Melbourne. Yeah. Ideally, I'd like to go to interstate and go overseas, but that's it's very expensive. When you do it on your own money, it's very, very expensive. True. So some restaurants in Sydney or some people say, Eddie, can you come out and promote me? It's going to cost me a couple of $100 to get there with the flights. Yeah. It's going to cost maybe $700 or $800 to stay there a night or so. Very expensive for me to come and try and promote you. Yeah. It's just I just don't have the
bandwidth.
Just the expense. Yeah. The expense. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
Melbourne here, it's just petrol money and spending a bit of money at a restaurant. That's okay. Yeah. So really, I'd like it if somehow someone could sponsor someone like myself, because I don't want to get the money off the person.
Yeah.
You asked me to come and help your business, and I'm going to ask you, look, you got to pay for all this money for me to come and see you. Yeah. It's I don't feel comfortable with that. Yeah. The person's reached out for help, and you're going to take more from them. Yeah. I just don't like that. Yeah. So inshallah, one day someone that can sponsor someone like myself or someone like yourself to say, listen, you take it and you go promote someone, just like a news channel, but without being restricted by a news channel with an agenda. It'll be just that, look, you can do what you want to do. We're going to promote you to go and do that. Ideally, that'll be a perfect scenario where it's not affecting the business and it isn't affecting you, where you're taking, the candle. You can't diminish 100%. Giving the light, because at the end of the day, you've got your own family you could be responsible for. And these small businesses, balance as well. So that's that. Ideally, if you're asking me what would be the next step, that would be perfect if somehow there was the funding for us to do it, for me to do what I'm doing, without compromising and telling that small business, listen, I need 5,000. Like that other one charged them 5,000.
Yeah,
5,000. It's a common thing to say, listen, $5,000, you're gonna get all these people through the door. I just don't feel comfortable doing that to that business.
No, I was going to say this point of what, because my thing was, when I saw your effort in promoting other businesses, it was something that's more, I respected and appreciated that point more, because I lived in Sydney, I lived in Melbourne. There's not a whole lot of promotion going on, apart from it could be maybe for different reasons. Okay, so I have a YouTube channel, or somebody else has a YouTube channel, and where do you kind of like say, oh, okay, I have a YouTube, I can make money off YouTube, I'm going to do such and such. But if our objective is more towards promotion and seeing other people's success, and make as much as give them coverage, that is something very small we're doing, but that's something very important that we should be doing as a Muslim community, helping each other as well.
But look, for me, it's not just about the Muslims out there. It could be anybody.
Could be anybody. Yeah.
There's
anybody
a Greek restaurant I'll be going out to shortly that I'm trying to get out there for them. Yeah. But I don't. As long as it's a small business and their work ethic is great and there's nothing haram about it. Yeah. When I say haram, it's not like it's they're manipulating people.
Yeah, true.
And that sort of stuff. Yeah. I'm fine with it. Now there are a lot of places I go to. They serve alcohol, but I'll just say, listen, I'm so sorry, I can't film any alcohol.
Yeah.
Most places in Melbourne, by the way, in Australia, this is just for common knowledge. I go to a lot of abattoirs because there's a lot of the food things that I do. Yeah. Every single Australian abattoir, the meat is done halal. It's not like they turn around to me and say, Eddie, it's too expensive for us to do halal, non-halal. It's time consuming. Everything is halal. People have to pay for certification.
Okay.
So when you're here and you're having meat, if it's pork, it's a different story. Right. But if it's meat, most likely if it's an Australian company, it's halal.
Gotcha.
It's been cut the proper way.
And I think...
But it's not certified.
It's not certified?
You've got to pay for certification. So that's where it gets complicated. Are you certified? The guy say, look, it's halal meat. Yeah. Are you certified? I'm not halal, I'm not certified. Well, I'm not going to eat here. That's your choice. Yeah. But the meat, if it's Australian produce, it's cut halal.
I was going to say the point is good to highlight is because usually the meat, especially the meat which is export quality, that
it's all halal, brother. It's all halal.
Yes, right. Yeah.
It's all halal. Yeah. They're not going to do export one this way. It takes too much time.
Yeah.
So they're not doing it because Sharia law and inside they really love Muslim.
Yeah.
They do it because economically
it works.
It's cheaper for them to have it all halal.
Yes.
Because you can't just have a certain amount halal. It's going to be too costly. Yes. Two different divisions, very expensive.
Yes.
Just have it all together. Yeah. And then whatever's halal is certified if you want it. If you want it certified, you have to pay up the money.
Yeah.
For the Muslims to come out and certify
you. Yeah.
And there's lines of people trying to get certification.
Yeah.
But going back to what I'm saying is that if it's all just, for example, sometimes pubs will call me, bars, not comfortable, because the bar is more about the alcohol component.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a couple of tappers, but it's more about the alcohol component.
Yeah. True.
It's not me. Nightclubs, it's not me.
Yeah.
That to me, I can't promote.
Yeah.
It's just not. We're not talking about the haram.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yes.
In terms of if they're serving alcohol because they've got a liquor license, and some Muslim establishments, have got a liquor license. I'm not going to judge anything. I'm just there to promote.
Yeah.
Not to judge.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to do a place that's just purely alcohol.
Yeah.
A winery, for example, you don't need me to come to your winery and talk about your different type of wines. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not relative. But if you've got a nice food area and a nice restaurant and amazing rolling hills, would like to come and film that and the food that you've got. But I want to concentrate on the barrels of wine and the different ones you have with the whiskey. not me.
Yeah, no, totally understand. Okay, so I was going to say as a last point, any message you have to the Muslim community and the wider Australian community?
Yeah, just be balanced. That's it. Don't just be balanced and be open. Anyone that's balanced is probably going to have the best life. So I don't think you should spend too much time in front of the TV. I don't think you should be indoctrinated in a certain thing that they've got you to have us sitting in front of the TV and they've given us all this agenda. Yeah. You keep yourself, watch the bit of TV, but don't watch all of TV. 8 hours a night to sleep is amazing. You've still got 8 hours for work and enjoyment of work, but the other 8 hours It's the other 8 hours people have to understand that, listen, that 8 hours, it's part of worship. You are going to worship. You're going to wake up early and do your prayers. Make sure you got all your prayers in. But that 8 hours is critical, not to just sit on a couch. That 8 hours is for you to benefit the society. And how can I benefit the people around me? Sitting in front of that TV isn't going to help you. It could be helping your children with the education. It could be cooking a great meal for your family. It could be something, but just to sit there and just absorb that TV. So the only thing is just go out and be balanced. But that 8 hours spare, enjoy that 8 hours, because you can never get that back. That time on that couch just sitting in front of that TV, you can't get that back. When you're younger, you think you've got all this time. But time is like that. Before you know it, you're going to be 80 years old and think, only if I could get all those hours back where I was just sitting. So every night I'll get home. I'm always up to date with my prayers. And then I'll go somewhere. I can stay home. And there are occasions where I'll stay home and I think, wow, how nice is this? But I see it as enjoyment. I'm sitting there and it's wow that I'm at home. In front of the TV, I see that as a luxury, but I don't make sure that it's only once in a while. So I see it as a luxury rather than I'm just going to sit here and absorb and sit here
as a norm,
as a zombie. Because you're never going to get that time back. Never. Just try and be out there. Try and do something. Try and help your neighbor. Just do what the Prophet ﷺ would do. That's it. And promote others and just be a good human. We are done. Thank you so much. If anyone's watching to the end, mate, that's an effort. All right, let's go.
Thanks,
Thank you. Thank you so much.